Hello guys, it's your boy Jeremiah The Revelous here. It's a new day, it's a new review. Don't forget to subscribe to your boy for movie reviews. And today is the best of the worst of 2025. So yeah, I compiled up all the lists of all the movies I watched this year. I didn't get to watch all the movies, so there are some movies that you're probably like, why didn't make it on the list? Why didn't make it to the worst? Why didn't make it to the best? Because I only got to see a certain amount of movies this year, and I'm only putting on the list of the movies that I got to do reviews on. Because there was a couple of movies that I got to watch that I never got to do a review because I never had the time to do it because of scheduling. So some of them are going to be put on like honorable mentions. But when it comes to the worst of this year, I have 4 movies that to me were okay, and then I completely hate it. And this is in direct order. So let's get on with it, shall we? Let's get on with the worst. So one movie I gotta say that I really am a fan of the franchise, but it disappointed me. Did I hate the movie? No, I didn't. But I just was so disappointed that it actually made it on this list. And that number 4 movie is going to be I Know What You Did Last Summer. That's right. This movie disappointed me. And the reason for that was because, don't get me wrong, I love the way the story was, the kills and everything like that, and how it ended was unique. But my biggest problem with the film was the characters. I liked them at first, and then at the end I didn't care for them. Because I felt like they had multiple personalities. And it was just jarring with some of these characters. Like, pick a side. Are you this type of character or are you this type of character? Like I said, it felt like there were 2 writers writing 2 different stories. And I didn't like the fact that they disrespected the legacy characters. That was not cool for me. That's why I make this as my number 4. Now, my number 3 movie. Another fan of the franchise. Big fan of the franchise. Didn't hate the movie. It's just another disappointment in it. And that is we call Conjuring Last Rite. That's right. The Conjuring Last Rite, I did enjoy it. It had good scares. It was cool to see the final ending to the Warners. But the problem with this movie was it did not follow the family. The whole point of all the Conjuring movies is to follow the case, the story on the case of the family. And then like you could tell the difference between the real case and the actual movie. And it didn't focus on that. It focused too much on the Warners. And that's not what I wanted it from a Conjuring movie. Even though I did enjoy a lot of the aspects of the movie and the scares, but it just took me right out of the film when they did not focus on the family. We don't know what happened with the family throughout all the hauntings. It was just completely like all about the Warners, and we never got that case that I felt. So now coming into my top 2. These 2 movies I hate. I thought they were just bad. So my number 2 is Stephen King, The Monkey. This is the worst Stephen King adaptation, I gotta say. And people are like, wow, the movie's not that bad. And I'm gonna play this. The reason why I didn't like this movie so much because it didn't follow what it was supposed to be. It just so all over the place. Was it supposed to be a dark comedy? Was it supposed to be a horror film? The balance was all off balance. And I didn't like hardly any of the characters. The characters were obnoxious. They were annoying. I probably only liked one. Even though I did like some of the acting in this one. I did like the death scenes. I did like the monkey itself looked creepy. But overall, it was just a boring movie. It wasn't funny. The comedy overlapped the scares, and it just drew me out the movie completely. I was like, I almost walked out of this film. Matter of fact, I almost fell asleep during this movie as well. That's how much I did not like this film. And now, my number one top movie that I hated this year. And you want to say, well, it's a kid's movie, it's an animation. Look, when I grew up with The Goonies, Cinderella, Snow White, Aladdin, The Sandlot. I grew up with all these cool kids movies that parents even like it to this day. And it holds up to be a classic to this day. So to me, this movie does not have the excuse of it's just a kids movie. No, it doesn't have that excuse. And that movie is Dogman. Dogman was the worst movie of this year. It was boring. The animation was just jarring. They were trying to do the animation from Spider-Verse. That didn't work. It was too much all over the place. It was just not funny. It was just not fun. I fell asleep throughout the movie. You know what? I don't want to bash this movie too much because my daughter did like this movie. And you know what? I'm glad she did. You know, and I appreciate that. I am happy that she's happy that she liked the movie. But I'm always going to be honest with you on what I watch. So yes, this movie is not a great movie at all. You know what I mean? Your kids may like it if they're a fan of the Dogman series. That's pretty much what it was. It was just fit for the fans of the Dogman series. I get it. I understand. But for me, it was just terrible. All right, guys. So we're now going into my top 10. Top 10 movies of 2025. Now, I'm going to throw in some honorable mention. You know what I mean? The number one honorable mention, the reason why it is not on the list is because I never got a chance to do a review on it. And I watched it kind of late. And that movie is Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. That movie was such a good film. The way he did the story, where he takes like the first hour and is all from the perspective of Dr. Frankenstein. And then the last hour, then the hour after that is the focus and the perspective of the monster. And then it comes together at the end to end the movie. I really love how Del Toro did that. You know, it was super great. It really shows how Victor Frankenstein was the monster. Not the monster himself, Victor. Victor was the monster. And I like how we finally get that true adaptation, I gotta say, is because the monster itself, you feel for that monster. He's really relatable because it's like he wants to die because of what he looks like and how he's a freak. You know what I mean? But he can't. And Frankenstein was and then, you know, when it comes to the end of the movie, it really blends together really well. It really ends really well. You know, Guillermo del Toro, he knows how to make a world, especially a horror world, with his special effects and how he does things with the makeup. Everybody did a wonderful job. Oscar Isaac did an amazing job in this film. And the guy that played the monster, perfect. Like, this movie is definitely on my honorable mentions. If I got to see this sooner, I gotta say it could have been in my top 5 of this year. But like I said, I just didn't have the time to put together a review and to watch it, because I just watched it like literally just recently. So now we go into my top 10. So my number 10 movie of 2025 is going to be Heart Eyes. So Heart Eyes, I love this movie because this is how you blend a good romantic comedy, a rom-com, with a horror, and it doesn't overlap itself like The Monkey did. This movie itself was like, when it was funny, it was funny. When it got serious and it got creepy and scary, it got creepy and it did get scary. And it blended those things very well. And it became a great slasher too, because it's a slasher movie as well. And it felt like Scream. but more in a rom-com way. And it's weird to say how does that work, but this movie works really well. The death scenes are very cringy, very crazy. The comedy is natural, is not forced. And I like the fact that how they make fun of how the dating world is today. And I thought that was really good. So you should check out Hard Eyes. My number 9 is going to be How to Train Your Dragon. And I gotta say, this is another surprising movie of the year for me because I am not a big fan of the animated How to Train Your Dragon. I know everybody's like, what the hell? Why is that? And it's like, I wasn't into the animation. The animation didn't draw me. You know, like Toy Story animation drew me in. You know what I'm saying? It just didn't. I like the characters. I like Toothless, you know, and I like Hiccup. But it's just the movie itself with the animation didn't really draw me in. This live action movie I really did like. It really drew me in. It felt like an epic. You know, it felt like I was watching one of my favorite kid movies like Dragonheart. It felt like that. And I actually became a fan. It actually drew me to become a fan of the How to Train Your Dragon series. Now I can't wait for the next movie. You know what I'm saying? And it did its job, and I really did like that. My number 8 movie is Tron Ares. That's why I really did like this movie. I am a huge fan of Tron, and I really like the fact that it was different. This was Dillinger's story, and Legacy was Flynn's story. And I hope the next movie brings those two stories together. I did like Jared Leto as Ares. I think he did a great job as Ares. People are going to like, oh no, I don't like Jared Leto, but I think he did a great job. I think the movie was fun. It looked great. Being back in the Tron world, being back in the grid was super fun. And I thought them bringing the grid to Earth was super cool. I am unapologetic. I love this movie, so it is what it is. My number 7, the funny thing is, from my number 10 to my number 6 movies, they're not really in order. It's like if I watch them again, I probably bump them up on the list or bump it down on the list, but they're not all in exact order. So right now, my number 7 for right now is Ballerina. That's right, Ballerina was a fun spin-off of the John Wick franchise. The action was crazy, balls to the wall, madness. Anna de Armas, she did an amazing job. I love her in this movie. She was a badass in this movie. I love her storyline, how she met John Wick, and how like John Wick was actually her like mentor, which I thought that was cool. You know, it's a fun, good time, great spinoff of the John Wick franchise. My number 6 is K-pop Demon Hunters. That's right, K-pop Demon Hunters. Everybody's looking at me crazy right now, right? Of course, of course. Look, this was another movie that was very surprising to me. And the reason for that, you know, yes, I am a person that likes K-pop. I do. You know what I'm saying? I love the songs. I love Blackpink. I love all that stuff. But the funny thing about it was that I didn't think it was going to work. But it did. It worked really well. The whole story itself on why they're K-pop stars, it blended with the story. It made the story sense. It gave a lot of heart. It gave a lot of fun. The music was great. I love the music. I listen to music pretty much every day. I like all the songs pretty much. You know, the songs remind me of Blackpink. I just enjoyed it so much, and every time I watch it, I have fun watching it. My number 5 is going to be Fantastic Four. That's right. I really love Fantastic Four. I finally feel like we are back to form with Marvel when it comes to Fantastic Four. You know what I mean? I love the story more than I did the Thunderbolts. I know people are like, what is wrong with you? That's right. I'm crazy. What do you expect? I just love the fact Pedro Pascal, he did a great job. He acted like Reed Richards. He felt like Reed Richards. And Vanessa Kirby, wonderful as Sue Storm. Her speech in the movie was amazing. I love how Galactus looked. Galactus looked freaking menacing, freaking scary. Even Shia LaBeouf as Silver Surfer, she did a great job. I wasn't expecting to like her as the Silver Surfer, but she did a great job. Everybody did a great job in this movie. The story was great. It was fun. It was way better than I expected to be. It was way better than the other Fantastic Four movies and stuff. So number 4 is going to be, I thought when they did the Predators, I thought this franchise was done until Prey came out. When Prey came out, it revitalized the Predator franchise. And then we got Killer of Killers. That's another honorable mention I gotta say. Killer of Killers is a great animated Predator movie. It really brought out more lore. It really brought together the whole Predator franchise really well. But this movie right here, Predator Badlands. Predator Badlands was super fun, super unique. It was what I wanted in a Predator movie, for it to be that we get to follow the shoes of the Predator. The Predator is the protagonist, and it was so good the way they did it. The way the director did it was so good. It was so fun. It was so adventurous. It was funny at times, but not as funny that's goofy. It was natural comedy, but it was really gruesome at times, really killer, even for a PG-13 movie, which that shocked me. And I thought the creature design was great. Like everything in this movie with the culture of the Predators, and we got to know more lore and how they work. I thought it was a great roller coaster time. And my number 3 is going to be Avatar Fire and Ash. That's right, Avatar Fire and Ash. It was a fun, great, James Cameron did it again. I was once again immersed in Pandora. You know, I like the fact that it was very relatable, and also with, you know, how they do about AWA, and then the Ash people are against AWA. I like how James Cameron blended that really well, and then the story of Spider, I like how his arc ended. It was a fun time. It's not my favorite movie out of all of the Avatar movies, but it's still a solid entry, and I still love this movie because it was just beautiful and breathtaking. So my number 2 is F1. That's right. This is probably one of my favorite racing movies of all time, because I am a fan of Days of Thunder. I love Gran Turismo. You know what I'm saying? I'm a fan of a lot of these racing movies, and F1 is like the perfect racing movie. Brad Pitt does an amazing job. For the dude, for his age, he does a great job in this movie. I love his character, and I like the fact that we get the director from Top Gun, and he's filming inside the car. You felt like you were driving the car. You felt like you were in those races. You felt the tension, you felt the fear, you felt all that stuff. And that's what makes this great. That's why it makes this movie my number 2, because the experience watching this movie was just breathtaking. And the action and the heart-pounding suspense, I really thought this was one of the best movies of 2025. All right, now we're down to my number 1 movie of this year. So my number 1 movie of this year is going to be Ryan Coogler's Sinners. That's right, this is my favorite movie of this year. I mean, this is a good blending of like hoodlum and Dusk Till Dawn. You know, you got your gangster movie mixed with a vampire film on top of a love letter to music itself. I mean, I really love this film. Especially, like, I forgot that this movie was a freaking horror film. And that's in a good way, because the characters were so good. Like, Michael B. Jordan playing 2 characters, Stax and Smoke. These guys, he did a great job balancing those characters out. Like, you can tell the difference between Stax and Smoke, you know. And Ryan Coogler did an amazing job, you know, blending, you know, the culture of music and blending it with gangster film and also a horror movie. You know what I'm saying? Because when it gets to the vampire stuff, and it gets to the violence, it's crazy, it's wild. The gangster stuff is nice, is cool. You get drawn into it, and the music itself is great in this movie. Ryan Coogler did it again. I think this is probably my favorite Ryan Coogler film. Like, if they do a sequel, I can't wait for one, but I don't really think we need a sequel. To tell you the truth, this was a perfect movie, and this is the movie, my favorite movie of 2025. All right, guys, that is all of them for today. Let's get on down to the list of my favorite movies. My number 10, Hard Eyes. 9, How to Train Your Dragon. 8, Tron Ares. 7, 6 was K-Pop Demon Hunters. 5 was Fantastic Four. 4 was Predator Badlands. 3 was Avatar Fire and Ash. Number 2 was F1. And my number 1, Sinners. So, like, subscribe, comment. Let me know, what is your favorite movie of this year? Give me your top movies of this year. Give me the top worst movies of this year. Let me know in the comment section. You know, my list is not the right list. It's just my list. It may not be your list, but that's what I felt for the day, and that's what I thought it was great for this year. Yeah, and don't forget to subscribe to your boy. Trying to get 500 subscribers. Help a boy out. Make sure you click on the videos. Get into the rabbit hole. I dare you. God bless. Have a happy new year and a safe one. And I'll see you when I see you next year. Peace.